All right, let's dive in. What you're looking at here is a pretty radical blueprint for Africa's future. It's a whole new vision for building towns that are smarter, greener, and way more connected to the land. We're talking about completely rejecting the outdated models of the past. And this vision? It all comes from a guide called Town Planning for the Peri-Rural Future.
So why is this so urgent? Well, take a look at this number, 1.3 billion. By 2050, Africa's population is set to grow by 1.3 billion people. Just think about that. That's 1.3 billion new homes to build, new jobs to create, new mouths to feed. The pressure on resources is going to be absolutely immense. And let's be honest, the old way of doing things, it just won't cut it.
And what's the current answer we've got? Basically, packing everyone into these huge, sprawling megacities. But here's the thing, it's just not working. I mean, this model is completely unsustainable, it's unaffordable for most people, and it creates these deep pockets of social exclusion. It's a dead end.
So that brings us to the million-dollar question, right? Or maybe the billion-person question. If our cities are already overwhelmed, where exactly are we going to build the future for all these people?
Well, the answer being proposed here is pretty fascinating. It's not about building more cities, and it's not about just sticking to rural life either. It's a hybrid, something totally in between. They call it the Peri-Rural model.
Okay, so what exactly is Peri-Rural? It's a great question, because this isn't just about suburbs creeping out into the countryside. That's sprawl. No, this is something that's intentionally designed from the ground up. Imagine this. You get to keep the character, the landscape, and the culture of a rural area, but you get to plug in all the best parts of a city, the systems, the networks, the technology. It's a super deliberate, self-sufficient strategy.
And this chart, it really nails the difference. Look at the old way, urban sprawl on the left. You've got dependency, congestion, exclusion, you know the drill. But on the right, with the Peri-Rural model, the script is totally flipped. We're talking self-sufficiency, resilience, inclusion. It's a complete paradigm shift, moving away from stagnation and towards real progress.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually build one of these future towns? Well, the guide lays out a really clear blueprint, and it all rests on 3 core pillars.
And here they are. First, you've got climate-proof design, then strategic land use, and finally, people-powered systems. These are the absolute foundations. So let's dive into each one and see what they're all about. First up, climate proofing. This is huge. We're talking about architecture that actually works with nature, not against it. So picture this. Buildings made from natural, heat-tolerant stuff, like adobe or rammed earth. Homes are designed for passive cooling, with smart cross-ventilation. And green infrastructure, it's not some add-on, it's totally central. You've got things like bioswales to manage water, tree corridors for shade. Oh, and get this. Every single building is designed to catch its own rainwater.
All right, next up is strategic land use. This is where things get really interesting. Forget that old, rigid, colonial-style zoning. That gets thrown right out the window. In its place is this super flexible concept called the tri-spine model. So think of it as 3 integrated zones that work together. You've got your mixed-use spine, where people live, work, and trade. Then an agroecology spine, where food production is literally woven into the community, not pushed to the outskirts. And finally, a cultural spine that protects green corridors and sacred sites. It's all about multifunctional living.
And that brings us to the third pillar, people-powered systems. And honestly, this is where the community truly takes control. We're talking about real energy sovereignty, with things like local solar microgrids and biogas digesters. Mobility is designed for humans first. Think shaded pathways and electric tuk-tuks, not just cars. And the whole economy is circular. Waste isn't waste, it's a resource. It becomes community compost or is even turned into building bricks. How cool is that?
So we've seen the blueprint, right? The how-to. But what does it actually feel like to live in one of these places? What's the human experience? How do people actually live and eat and govern themselves day to day? This quote from the guide, man, it just says it all. A town that grows its own food will not beg for its future. That's powerful. Food is right at the heart of this whole vision. And it's not just about food security, it's about food sovereignty. That's the real key. It's about having the power to shape your own destiny by controlling what's on your own plate.
And how do they do it? They're really practical, common sense steps. You've got community gardens literally within walking distance of people's homes. There are local seed banks to protect and bring back awesome indigenous crops like sorghum and moringa. The schools have their own gardens that are part of the feeding programs. And there are even local agro-processing hubs so people can dry, mill, and package their own products, creating value right there in the community.
And this whole theme of local control, it extends to pretty much everything. Take power. It's local. Community-run solar microgrids mean energy independence, a huge, huge leap from being at the mercy of some unreliable distant grid.
Connection? That's local too. We're talking about mesh Wi-Fi networks that are actually run by local youth teams. So not only does everyone get internet, but you're building up valuable tech skills right there in the community.
And even security is local. Instead of hiring expensive private security firms, you have community peacekeeping units. And their focus is totally different. They're trained in mediation and de-escalation. So the whole mindset shifts from just protection to actual prevention. It's all about building trust, not building walls.
So when you step back and put all these pieces together, the climate-proof design, the smart land use, the people-powered systems, what you get is, well, it's more than just a new way to build a town. It's a completely new script for how we can build the future together.
And that really gets to the core of it. This isn't just about profit. It's about purpose. It's about a shared mission to co-create towns where communities can genuinely thrive, not just economically, but culturally and ecologically too.
So I'll leave you with this one final powerful thought from the guide. What if the future isn't something that's just built? What if it's something that's grown organically from the land itself, resilient and deeply, deeply rooted in the community? It's a pretty amazing idea to think about, isn't it?